Used car prices have been coming down for quite a while now, and that means that we can get into some properly good looking, expensive looking cars for less than £20,000. All 10 cars on this list cost less than 20k, and I think that they look way more expensive than that if you squint hard enough. If you want to see the same video again under £10,000, do hit the like button. 1,000 likes and I will make that video. And as 77% of you watching this video have not subscribed, do hit the subscribe button for 2 videos every single week. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. We're starting with the recent expansion of the Range Rover line, the Velar, despite its name actually being used for some pre-production Range Rovers back in the late 1960s. It sits in the compact luxury crossover SUV class and was released in 2017 as a slightly cheaper, slightly smaller entry point into luxury Range Rover ownership, but with a greater focus on road performance. Hence it actually has the lowest seating position of any Land Rover available, and the cockpit is focused on the driver, where a larger Range Rover Autobiography, for example, would be all about the passengers. In D240 spec, these come with a 2-litre twin-turbo diesel inline-4 engine, which makes 236 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 7.2 seconds, significantly slower than all the other cars on this list, but as one of the newer cars, you have to make do with lower power. Sadly, there have been a bunch of recalls on these for multiple reasons, and a lot of owners have been unhappy with reliability, hence prices have dipped so far. These will run you around 17k at the bottom end, and 20k will get you a 2018 model with around 90,000 miles on it. Next up, we have the Maserati Ghibli, with Maserati being renowned for their insane levels of depreciation, but it still boggles the mind how you can get their base level executive saloon for such low prices these days, given it's not actually that old. It basically competes with cars like the Audi A6 and Mercedes E-Class, but it's that badge and Italian stylings that really drive home the idea that it might look more expensive than it is. Like the Velar, you'll likely be looking at a diesel example, meaning you'll be buying a 3-litre turbocharged V6 one that puts out 271 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.1 seconds, still not quick. In fact, that's almost double the top car on this list times a 60. These are listed anywhere from around £10,000 at the bottom end, making it the joint cheapest car on the list, and double that gets you a 2018 model with around 40,000 miles on the clock. Reliability isn't the main issue with these. Owners instead complain about the finish and build quality, basically saying that it feels cheap. That said, they do have pretty good looking interiors for the money now. I've got another SUV for you, though it's the last one on this video. I think the Porsche Cayenne e-hybrid from the second generation Cayenne looks really sporty and modern through to today, especially in the right spec. The focus on this generation was to be bigger without necessarily looking bigger, and while also taking inspiration from famous Porsches like the Carrera GT style headlights and the Panamera style interior. Most importantly, however, in e-hybrid spec, it has really decent fuel economy, considering owners have been hitting around 36 miles per gallon, though that's a lot less than what was stated by the manufacturer. The e-hybrid comes with a 3-litre supercharged V6 engine, while also offering electric power to provide a combined 410 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 5.7 seconds, which is decent for a car of its size. This car actually meant Porsche became the first brand with 3 production plug-in hybrid vehicles, but given the newer tech for Porsche, owners have reported many electrical related issues with them. These start around the 17k mark, and 20k gets you into a 2015 example that's done around 80,000 miles. Arguably the most exotic car on this list is the Jaguar F-Type, which you can get in both base and S-Spec for our price range, though you're more likely to find a base spec model. These Ian Callum design cars do have a lot of road presence, but as a grand tourer they also offer really decent comfort for longer journeys. I wouldn't want to take one to a track day necessarily, but it is the type of car that would look just as good driving around the south of France as it would on the Nürburgring for a tourist lap. In base spec, these come with a 3-litre supercharged V6 engine which puts out 335 brake horsepower. That will jump to 380 brake horsepower in the S model, but the base still gets to 60 in 5.5 seconds, which is slower than a lot of hot hatches these days, but I definitely say this looks more expensive and will turn more heads than most hatches. These start at around £17,000, and 20k gets you a 2014 model with 100k on it. Insurance is quite high on them though, timing chains and water pumps do have issues, and coolant leaks are known. Definitely the most luxurious car on this list is also the second oldest, the Bentley Continental Flying Spur, which is a full-size luxury car that was built to rival the Rolls-Royce Phantom as Bentley's main car to ferry VIPs around in. You can also get the Continental GT within our price range, but I almost feel like you see Flying Spurs out on the roads less, and you can pretend to be rich in these far more easily by hiring a friend to pretend to be your chauffeur, and they'd be having a great time anyway, enjoying that 6-litre twin turbocharged W12, which puts out 552 brake horsepower, wafting the car to 60 in 4.9 seconds, which is pretty good good for its size and age. These came with some insane specs, including features like a wine cooler between the rear seats to really commit to the luxury vibes. Engine wise, they're actually known to be reliable too, but maintenance and repair costs can be astronomical if something does go wrong. They'll run you around 10k at the bottom end, and 20k is enough for a 2008 model with 70,000 miles on the clock. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you are, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new. As I said, 1,000 likes and I'll make the same video again under £10,000 instead. And let me know which of these 10 cars you would personally go for if they were the only ones you could choose from. The Audi S4 Advance is not just an expensive looking car, it actually might be the best overall pick on this list if you want to have a car that is practical, fast, spacious, good looking, and generally a jack of all trades. Even better, this is the most recent B9 generation S4, so you're not behind the times at all outside of a facelift. The only sad thing is there's no manual transmission option, as Audi only provided an 8-speed auto for this generation, so if you do want a manual, drop back to a B8 and you'll still get a similar package overall, just with a little bit less power and slightly older aesthetics. For a B9 though, you'll need to spend around £18,000 at the bottom end, and for 20k you'll get a 2018 example with around 100,000 miles on the clock. And for that kind of money you'll get yourself a 3-litre turbocharged V6 engine, which makes 349 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.7 seconds, which is pretty quick for a family estate. And as it's newer, there aren't many common issues except the pin needle bearings, which did get revised in 2019. Now we're on to the actual oldest car on the list, and the one that we didn't officially get here in the UK, so you'll only be getting a left-hand drive example of the Chevrolet Corvette C5, which hit the US market back in 1997 and ran through to 2004. Yes, it's a bit dated, but it still has supercar-esque looks, and dare I say it, classic supercar-esque looks, and an absolutely obscene sounding engine with the right exhaust attached, so it will definitely turn heads in a different way to many other cars on this list, and to the ill-informed spectator, it could have cost you 10k or 100k. In reality, however, these start at around £15,000, and for 5k more than that you'll be getting a 2004 example with around 40,000 miles on the clock. That'll get you into an LS1 engine, a 5.7 litre V8 block, which makes 344 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 4.5 seconds, really not bad for its age. It was actually delayed due to Chevrolet's financial troubles, which is reflected in a cheaper overall build, with plenty of well-documented problems with them, most notably around the electrical grounding issues causing loads of other issues. The SL class from Mercedes is probably the most historic of the bunch, and the 6th generation model, while it won't reach any kind of classic status for quite a while, is modern looking enough and completely different in style to the following generation, so in the right spec it could almost look brand new. In the SL500 spec too, you get a great sounding V8 engine to help turn heads in the same way the C5 does, and in summer it's even better given it has a hardtop convertible roof to enjoy the 3 days of sun we seem to be getting here in the UK in July and August. That V8 block I mentioned is a 4.7 litre twin turbocharged V8 to be exact, which puts out 448 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.2 seconds, which is only 0.2 seconds slower than a far more expensive SL63 AMG. These are listed anywhere from around £16,000, and 20k will get you into a 2014 model with around 70,000 miles on it. Water leaks from the roofs are known, but broadly they're reliable, and having driven one, they're really decent Grand Tourers for their money. Just missing out on the top spot is the BMW M4, a car I drove a few years ago and continues to look and sound way more expensive than our 20k limit. The M4 picked up where the E92 Coupe and convertible M3 left off, and somehow it just looks way more modern, maybe as a result of the bigger proportions, maybe the more modern BMW interior, maybe down to the fact that it only ended production in 2020, but either way it's a definite exotic in my books, with different vibes in both coupe and convertible specs. The coupe looks sportier, more focused on going fast, and the hardtop convertible just looks like a beast. And either way you get a properly beastie engine, a 3-litre twin turbocharged inline-6 block, which makes 424 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4 seconds, and having driven one I can tell you firsthand it's a super fun car to bash around in. Just watch out for DCT and some other build issues. These now start at around £17,000, which is insane value for this package, and 20k is enough for a 2014 model with 70,000 miles on the clock. Taking the top spot down to some ridiculous levels of performance is the Tesla Model S, which you can actually get in P90D spec for our price range, though all Model S's do look a touch more expensive given it's a main competitor to the Ghibli we mentioned earlier, and for a while it was the best selling plug-in electric car worldwide until the less expensive Model 3 took over. And compared to the other cars on this list, if you like extra tech gimmicks in and around your car, you know this is the pick for you. The P90D specifically is obviously an EV, but its performance is obscene. It makes 259 brake horsepower at the front and 503 at the rear, but it's listed at putting out 456 brake horsepower for some reason, still taking it to 60 in 3.1 seconds, which is pretty rapid. These start at around £13,000, and 20k will get you a 2016 example with around 70,000 miles miles on the clock. Sadly, however, they are known for some electrical issues, and their build quality around the bodywork has often been questioned, although seemingly mostly in the US. And so there you have it, 10 cars that cost less than £20,000 that all look way more expensive. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new. Massive thanks to the patrons for their support, and to you guys well for watching. And if you want to see another video on some luxury cars, then click on screen here.